Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Alchemist and Oracle, a space where we engage in spiritualized conversations that deepen understanding, inspire transformation, and spark meaningful dialogue about life's most profound truths. I am Nicole of the Oracle, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, the Warrioress artist RN, also known as the Alchemist. Welcome to our channel, the Alchemist and the Oracle. And today we're getting into conversation about authenticity. We're building upon the previous episode where we talked about the why it matters, and now we're going to kind of get into the how to get there. So I'm not going to talk about the why. Listen to the previous episode, but quickly, the why I will say is why authenticity is, I would say, is your power. It's all about like energy alignment, natural rhythm, magnetism, and liberation. Summarize kind of what we talked about in the previous episode. So today we're going to kind of reiterate the barriers, provide some helpful tools how to return to yourself, and also how to stay there. So this is the integration part of the first conversation. The first conversation was very much like knowledge. And so let's go over the barriers again. So the barriers.
There's several.
What pulls us out of that truth of our authenticity? I have 4 that I have listed. I don't know
I have
what your
7.
notes look like.
I have 7.
Um, so I'll share one. So the first one that I have is conditioning. And so this is a
Mm,
barrier to authenticity. And it really starts from childhood. You know, conditioning always starts from childhood. This is where we
mhm.
learn to trade our truth for safety or acceptance, where we really start to adapt to survive and not really focus on thriving. It's really survival mode. And this through the conditioning, and conditioning can look like so many things, it's the parts of us that learn to hide in order to stay safe. So I think the conditioning, everything always goes back to a safety issue. So that's the first barrier that I have. Is that on your list? Conditioning.
It- Actually, it is one of them. Yeah, actually, it's number 3.
What?
Conditioning and expectations. Yeah, I missed that one, but
Okay.
yeah, and expectations, which
An
reflect, the
expectation.
external identity, the external identities. You know, yeah, that we, we need to release. So that's a good one. The other ones,
Give me one of yours.
this is a huge,
We can
this
go
is a
back and forth here.
huge. Yeah, I would love that. That would be
I want
great
to see what's on your list that matches mine.
because these are deep. I mean, they're deep because the talk about from a personal perspective and like, like our sure the teacher somebody this and you hear me say it like this again. If it's in the chair, it's in the room. So if I'm in the chair, then it's in the room. And so the first one is fear of judgment.
I have fear.
Fear of judgment, is like if I show the real me, will I be accepted? This is so key to not standing in the essence. And some people on the essence of who you are. The essence is the very innate being that
Mm.
you are. That flow, the essence of flow. So fear of judgment is huge in this world, and it goes back to childhood with parents. What you expect, and those expectations
The
of what
conditioning.
people
Yeah.
expect of you. You know,
Yeah.
um,
That's true.
man, I mean, the depth of that is really deeper than most people know, and sometimes it's not even conscious to us. is subconscious. In my glasses. So, so it's like, we have to, it's like, what parts do we censor? And it goes like you said, to feel safe or liked.
Yeah.
Fears of, yeah.
It goes back to our ancestral, like the caveman period of the human, of us as humanoids, right? Of like wanting to be part of the tribe, and we have this fear of being put out of the tribe, and because tribe, which also means community, equates safety and protection and thus care.
You know,
So
it,
yeah.
yeah, it goes back to even parents wanting their safety. It's just like if you're not part of the norm in society, and if you seem to be anything outside different, they fear the fact that, you might end up having, challenges with other people, or people think that they have the right to do certain things to you, which we know you don't. So stop it. And
Say that again for those in the back.
I mean, of who and how somebody came to this world to walk, or to exist, or to love for that matter. There was, the big thing where you couldn't, and there's still some cultures that don't approve of you loving or dating or marry anybody outside of the culture. And people are finding out, and you'll still hear me bring up the movie. I still, matter of fact, is on the list, but I have to do it out commercials. Coming to America. That is my movie with Eddie Murphy in the 90s, where, you look at that. So fear of judgment, hinders our authenticity. And I know that oh so well, to actually and to be in a place to really say that is to know that if it was that deep with me, then it may be that with you. And it's time to show up as you are, especially in this time, and the shift is going on. And in this world, to stand, now and authentically as we are, and we'll go into more in what that looks like, or how maybe you might feel that, because when you want to get down to the true nature of yourself, and when things are said and you have aha moments, like, oh yeah, so so yeah, that's my number one: fear of judgment.
Fear of
It
judgment.
hinders your
So
walk in the world.
it's definitely a barrier to authentically being expressed in your power, for sure. How I
Hmm.
also have fear is fear of loss here.
That
Kind of talks
too.
about being ejected from the community. So
Yeah.
fear that being real will make people leave, when really
Hmm.
it's really the only way to let the right ones in, right? So it's like sending out the signal, the like battle cry, or how birds have a very specific tune,
They do.
and so
Love
that's
it.
how they communicate to other birds that are part of their family.
Yes.
They hear that
Yes.
tune. And also, like, even
The
mothers, like
frequencies. The
mothers
frequency.
know the voice of their children. They don't even
Yeah.
have to see, they like, oh, that's my child. Like a baby's cry. Oh, that's my
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's about like letting the right ones in, but also there's a barrier to it, because you're afraid that you may lose that. And so there's this fear of
Agreed.
loss that's a barrier. And
Know what that feels
for
like?
some
Yeah.
people too, and I can so relate to this, that being yourself might cost you approval.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a huge barrier.
Mm. A lot of us seek approval, even adults still this day, because yeah, we get to a certain stage of life that we don't really need anybody's approval, but but whoever you choose, your high power creator, and even and then her just wants you to walk in how you came. So you talk about the
Mm,
remembrance in who you are, and once you can release these barriers, then you'll come. There's a lot of shifts, like what's going on and how we was chatting prior of what's going on in the world and through and what certain things are happening. It's not a bad thing. It's a thing that when you're coming to shift and to be, and stand in the truth of who you are in this world, then there's a lot of things that are going to happen that will seem very strange. As
mhm.
people leaving, there's a lot of glitches, there's a lot of things going on that you have to truly leave behind to step in the path that was truly designed for you. And it's not about, so it's not, and I think everybody think it's just like getting back to, oh, everything's going to be perfect. No, there's challenges that continue to help you grow into literally becoming who you were, that I also say that was hidden and indoctrinated by societal norms. Like, what is that? And what's normal for you ain't normal for me. And normal is actually overrated. So be crazy as hell in a good way,
I
you know.
think crazy as hell is actually what is our authentic expression of our trueness. Because as you think of what's normal, like I'm always like, normal is upside down as hell. It's so backwards. Because if you really just pause and do like think of the conditioning that even I have conditioning that I'm constantly like catching myself on. But if you look
Hmm.
at it and like, this is normalized,
Hmm.
it can be quite jarring, especially if you think about what was normal like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 50,
Word.
100,000 years ago. It's just like that was normal.
Word
And so it's like this idea of normal.
is ever changing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And we're not ever changing. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's like we are not ever changing when it comes to our true beingness. That
Yeah.
never changes. I think our comfortability in expressing it, our boldness in expressing it, our
Hmm.
audaciousness in it, I think that can look very different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What's the barrier? I will let you share. What's the barrier on your list?
Past wounds and trauma.
Ooh.
Old experiences that may have taught, you that being yourself isn't safe. It's like what story, it's like what stories are from your past, that silence your truth, today.
Mm.
So, for the last, I like to use the last year, I will just say, I think even since I've returned here, I just be clear of moving and losing a parent real quickly after making a shift and looking at things that actually came up. And even to this day, past things are things that I recognized a couple of things yesterday, and releasing those to stand in and share and say what you need to say. And it all has to do with that safety. And once we understand that we are safe, so when I listen to, something I shared with you and looking at that, I almost got tagged a week ago, not this past Friday, but a Friday before. And if I had have been anyone else, I would have been freaking and I ain't cause a person out, this and that. I was thankful that I was not toe up from the back end and that this person had the brakes that they had to stop in enough time not to take me out while I was sitting still waiting to make a right hand turn at a light into the destination where I was going to golf. And so um that's how you know the shifting and releasing certain, there's different past wounds, past traumas, that barrier to anything that's outside of yourself. So I relax, I look in the mirror, and I was still calm, and all I could do was be thankful in that moment. Not flipping this person, not doing nothing, looking in the mirror and thank God that this truck that was yay high. Now my car is made out of steel, more steel than most are. And I already know what the outcome. So I have old traumas, no old patterns from that. And I never really was one to do that behind the wheel to other people, but it would have been one of them moments like, what the, you weren't paying attention. But I've had the moments. So, and I thank God for my breaks in many circumstances that are even not to mine. So when we look at old traumas and I look at, how am I how am I protected? I know this to be a truth. And so, and factual in and of itself, because of how close that was. And I'm visualizing, I'm speaking it now, and I just stayed at this calm tone. This is a place where you want to get, is a reason why you want to address these things that, and it has something to do with masking and some other stuff to do that and to come is to let go of those because those traumas are not really of you because they are no longer present or happening in this moment.
Hmm.
And to uncover them, you'll get closer to seeing who you are in the present moment.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point about really kind of taking ownership of how like how trauma shows up, how triggers show up, because it's it's your body signaling that there's a story that's like playing on loop, that's kind of skipping, that's not really fully playing out to resolve it, to resolve the that experience. So you get stuck in like that experience of trauma and like wounds, and you're never able to like really clear it to heal. And
Yeah,
so it's always going to be our responsibility to be very clear about what they are and how they show up. And
exactly.
it I see why that's a barrier, because if you're not sitting with yourself, if you can't even acknowledge that this experience has led me to feel this way, you don't have the capacity. Because I think I was telling you about, like, you can't feel other people if you can't feel yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like feeling into those experiences and how being honest about how they feel, how they're impacting you emotionally, and thus kind of blocking you from your capacity to see yourself.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
can't
mm-hmm.
feel yourself if you aren't feeling yourself. And a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
times those traumas show up to express like, hey, still here. I know you're trying to pretend, or like you pushed it down. And it,
And
it
that,
goes to like that survival versus thrive
yes,
mode.
yes, exactly. That's And that was people might will say that's me though. I done been through, I am not here in this moment sharing what you're very aware of. And I remember just talking with a friend of mine who will probably end up watching this about sharing some things of my life that I didn't feel comfortable sharing. And even with them, I mean, and we go way back to writing letters,
Oh,
old school writing
wow.
letters. And I found a letter of hers that written me back in the 90s, man. So
Hmm.
it's like, sharing that shame has a lot to do with that as well. And that might have came up in our previous one, but I mean, I haven't shared the depth of that. That was an example of understanding that even people who have been in accidents have trauma. And I bring up my little
Mm,
mother, she's gone. I call her little Mother Mary. I was kind of adopted in my, in my in my career field by certain people. They even got to meet my mom and stuff like that. And of course, they all were born around the same time too. So, you know, and what was I getting at with her? Oh, her driving. So I come to find out why she used to drive back in the she used to drive back in the day. So she had an accident, and because of that circumstance, she hadn't drove. And she had said to me, and I was gonna help her. It didn't happen to help her try to get behind the wheel from that unfortunateness. So it's a past trauma, that keeps us from going out and being able to go from point A to point B, which me, is a huge expression of me being able to have the freedom to go and move. And
hmm.
hopefully, most people, this is why I say this, I'll go, I want to live 80, 90, 100. I'm like, well, if you do what's necessary and you can get out of your head about what society say it is going to look like, feel like, or be like, I plan on move. I'm not going to be playing full court basketball and all that kind of stuff, but I still want to be able to move. Now, maybe I'll be playing half court basketball. I'm not even doing that now. I'm doing other stuff. But if you get my point, to age gracefully and don't let, the world say, what you going to be is how you going to know you ain't even reached there yet. But what you do in the meantime, it will have a lot to do with how that looks for you, fitness, many different things, and letting go of certain old traumas, and loving on yourself. So in the wounds in relationship wounds, oh my God. Whew, there's one. So
They're
you
always tied
know,
back to that in some way, in my
yeah.
opinion. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, of how we hold back because of what's happened that we're not able to show. And I'll confess to that a little. Oh, don't give me
Right.
that look, but
What are we
anyway,
confessing
whatever.
to? What are we
I ain't
conf-
confess. I ain't confess. Wounds.
oh, we're confessing wounds now?
I just said, well, the whole back to
Okay,
authenticity
I want to
of me.
challenge both of us here, right? I feel like we have the
Sure,
capacity to, sorry, the light is like blinding me.
it is
Um,
getting you.
I told you this time of
You're
day.
being highlighted. I know.
Um,
It's all right.
so the
You can.
challenge is like when you think of
That's better.
yeah, I had to lean forward. When you think of the barriers that you recognize that was part of your experience that you were experiencing that was keeping you from that authentic expression, like what's one that you can think of that you feel comfortable sharing? I'll share
Ooh.
one. I think it's good to be vulnerable
Go
in that
ahead.
way. Oh, she's like, you go first.
Well, I'm a
um
thought. I was methodically thinking before I speak. They said think before you speak. So I was just trying to figure
yeah,
out where I was gonna go
pause
with
in
it.
it, right? Let's all pause and take a moment and think of it, because I think we all have it, right? um
Mm-hmm.
for me, I will take, I think I may have shared this story on here before. If not, it doesn't matter. I always think about when I was younger and my grandmother would always put me in these dresses.
Oh
And
gosh.
I didn't mind being in the dress, right? I didn't really care about it. But what pissed me off was the conditioning part of that came in instantly, is like when you wear a dress, you keep your legs closed, make
Rose.
sure
Yes.
it's not too short,
Uh-huh.
like all
Mm-hmm.
these different
And I
things.
like I need air, but go ahead.
But for a really long time I used to think that I hated dresses.
Right, right, right,
I
right, right.
refused to wear them. I was like, they're bullshit, yada yada
I
yada.
feel you.
And what I realized is that I actually love wearing dresses.
Hmm.
And another part of the
Hmm.
conditioning piece too goes back to the trauma that I experienced is that when I would wear dresses as a young girl and like into adulthood, I would receive like very uncomfortable sexual assault level type
Hmm.
of advances from men, both verbally and physically. And what
Yes, ma'am.
happened when I would have those experiences, it would remind me of what my grandmother would tell me as a child. And I'd be like, well, damn, my grandmother was right. So it's like, she was right. Fuck the dresses, right? But I realized that I would avoid wearing things that I really did enjoy wearing because I was afraid of having
Uh,
that traumatic experience. And now I recognize that what I also realized too is that it doesn't matter what you wear. It wasn't about the dress.
that's something that one of the people I know have said.
And and so once I come to realize that, I was like, you know what?
But
I want to wear dresses. I want to wear it in and wear it for myself.
yeah,
And letting go of other people's experience of what I'm wearing because I realize they're going to have the experiences regardless if I have a dress on or a pair of pants. So wear the dress because I enjoy it for myself. But I recognize that and I recognize that connection to that experience from my grandmother and that how it carried into that adult experience that also was like made the linking and it like had me like lock in and anchor in and dig in like you know what, no, dresses are not who I need, who I can feel comfortable or safe in. That's my story that came up. I hope it makes sense. um
well, I can probably, if it should, I can probably
in terms of the
heavily,
barriers,
heavily, heavily piggyback on that. Heavily so.
I'm sure you can.
Heavily.
I think every woman can.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm looking at this fourth generation picture up here, and I don't have on stockings. I'm 7. They drove me nuts. My skin, I am everything that I say when it comes to essential, when it comes to my skin. Silk and cotton. And up there, I'm wearing close to the knee high thingy right here with my mom, her mom, and her mom. And I didn't like them. They were all the itchy, and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, they were
So,
itchy.
um, so when I look at going back to a while now, I have probably spoke on it and intensely speak on it. I could have something else that I could possibly share. And I'll probably do that on the channel when you're talking about not being who you are because you don't feel safe, or will you be liked? Will you be the word in another culture shunned? It's
Mm,
all that. But when
mm-hmm.
it comes to clothing, because of the uncomfortableness of it, and I dealt with stockings, I dealt with this, I was physically built, I was not, you know, and I'm like, back then, the way they were made so much different now that when I started
Yeah.
working or in the middle, I would try to put them on and I had to get extra large just to go over the muscles I had. And they'd be way up here. Then I had to fold it down. Then there was a line here. So you had to walk around and deal with this uncomfortably. Then there was the shoe thing and
Yeah.
all that. But I do remember, and there's somebody who I know who I'm part of the organization with who you said it didn't matter with the status of movement of what you were, how they come. If you're in that, they can, depending on who they are, which would be boys, not so much men, will come at you in a certain way that's highly disrespectful. So I remember, okay, I went to had a prom dress, got all that, like the shoes like that, but I was never really comfortable. And I remember feeling so naked and very hugely, now this is a vulnerable spot, vulnerable in them. Now they look great and all that. Had a bomb ass dress. You seen the other red one? I posted one on my FB channel that my cousin sent me, and my grandmother was taking pictures. Beautiful dress. I love red anyway. So, and the heels were different because I had a longer foot than most, and it's just been a challenge to kind of walk that walk, and not really. But it's not my go-to now. I feel so much different in walking in the woman that who I am. And then there's, who I'm attracted to, who I'm not, and all that kind of nature. And I feel that today I like certain hues. There's a certain heel that I choose. But it's not my go-to as it is with most women. And I felt hugely vulnerable in them, usually not comfortable at all. Or the thing was that you had to wear that when, and then I like to kind of, spread leg. I mean, I think I think the men ought to be crossing theirs and ours ought to be wide open, because, just saying,
It
who
needs to
said
breathe. You need to breathe it out.
that?
Let it air
Thank you.
out. Yeah.
It needs to be, yes, yes, we are,
Some air
we
circulating down there.
in our more inner, um, and reside more stuff within our general capacity than the men. So, we deal with much internally. So when you look at walking and being, if that's for you, not because of that, it was just like my grandmother loved her child. Beautiful girl. My mom, my grandmother, beautiful women. And we were around a lot of them. And she had the clothes, she worked hard for it, and would dress. I mean, but I remember when she used to put a book on my head and try to get me to walk a certain way. That book didn't stay on my head because it just wasn't going up.
I
And
never got that. I heard people talk about that. I was like, that's just the strangest thing ever. Like, why does that even matter?
a certain way to walk. I put on the heel, honey. The walk is gonna come however it comes.
And that was
But or
normal.
whatever she's, yeah.
And now we're looking
Um
back like that's not normal
of,
for
of,
us
of
for us
how of
today.
how you ought to be in the world, and that's not natural at all. So, um
To
so
walk with
I'm
a book on your
authentic
head.
about that. Yeah, I mean, I would probably master that now, but it wouldn't be because I'm trying to walk a certain way, just because I'm trying to do it just to challenge myself. But
Yeah, you would do that. Like,
I
yeah.
definitely would do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those are some things, y'all. There's some other things. I could go to the other side, you know,
We
you
all
know,
have stories, right?
about male, female. I mean, I want to get into this. I've had conversations with one of my dudes here. I will, as I, develop my channel, I'll probably bring him in. He said he's open to come and shoot the chat, because me and him, I got some with him. Um, Ours is long. I would really have to edit it, our conversation, but I'm just gonna bring him on live, right, or something like that, right? And have that conversation. And it had a lot to do with masculinity and the things are like that, and how we try to judge, the natural, authentic essence of, and it's even that thing. Let me just say it out, of what it is to be a woman or a man, you know,
Mm,
authentically so. And it's
mm-hmm.
not for us to 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 have that decision, and when we talk about the innateness and authentic, our innate nature, our soul knows how we are to walk, you
Yeah.
know. Just like male, male, female, female. Who said that that was supposed to be the way it was supposed to be in the world? And then we think that it's okay when somebody is being who they are, not so much on that now, but just period. I mean, smiling all the time. I mean, I've had that with you where I told you smile all the time. Actually, it's actually been public about, and you don't have to like them, you don't have to do anything about whatchamacallit being the smiling preacher. Well, so what's wrong with that? actually like dude. He cool.
I don't even know who the smiling preacher
I'm
is.
trying to get it out. I should know. Oh, Joel Osteen. I knew it would come to me because I'm shit. So things that would come
That's
to
what
me
they
now
call him,
gives
the
me a minute.
smiling preacher.
They called him. Yeah.
My mom watches him every Sunday. That's her church. She goes to church every
That is
Sunday.
the first dude that I was okay watching on television. This was back in the late 90s. I called him in his whole thing because he had just took over his daddy's thing because his daddy's passed. And he said that
Mm,
this was not my desire to
yeah,
do
he
that.
talks about that a lot. He never thought that he he would be doing that. But he also talked about the fact, it's funny you talking about him last Sunday, that
Hmm.
he didn't think that he could do that.
That's correct. That's
Because it
right.
kind of ties in
I
beautifully
think
to what we're
I
talking
don't know if
about,
I have the old
authenticity. Like
VHS.
he didn't feel like he could, because he was comparing himself to his father.
Yes, yes, yes,
And he
yes.
realized
That
that he, how did he put it? I don't remember exactly, but he realized that he was doing himself a disservice, that he wasn't meant to walk like his father. His father already walked that way. Kind of going back to what we're literally talking about. Like he has to
authenticity.
walk the path that only he can walk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know they called him the smiling
yeah,
preacher. It's interesting. I'm gonna ask my mom about that.
yeah. Let me.
Smile.
Yeah, yeah. It came. It's been several years because he smile. I used to smile all the time.
He does. He does smile
Yeah,
a lot.
it's like who they call the smile preacher. She would come up Joel's thing.
I don't know. I'll let you know what she says. Sometimes my mom will be like, "What are you talking about?" Because she's
No,
not like
let me see.
she's an
Who they
off the
call?
grid type of living person, so she don't always hear what the streets be saying.
No, honey, it's gonna come up right now. Joe Austin, who they call? I just put it up. Just put in. Who do they call the smiling preacher? It's Joel Austin. Not that they already know, because I know. I
Or
know.
or they were listening to us while we were talking.
No, they ain't no, that's a fact. Lakewood Church Houston, because I was
Mhm.
the smiling law enforcement officer. No,
So you're the
no,
smiling alchemist. Maybe that should be
yeah.
hmm. Write that down, girl. You're welcome.
This is oh my God.
Oh my gosh, the
I
smiling
was
preacher.
smiling way before I knew this was always gonna be the epitome of alchemy, man.
It's who you are.
Nah, that's for
You
sure.
are, you
That's for
are, you
sure.
smile. You smile all the time.
From all kind of things.
I think it's how you process through what you have going on too.
Yeah,
Some
it
people
is.
they laugh about things, even things that are like really challenging to go through. People laugh. Like, I know this lady I used to work with, she would laugh about everything to the point where people were like, why are you laughing? That's a horrible thing to happen. And she's just like, I know, I just laugh.
Some people ask through nervousness. So here, this ain't off the kilter. This right in. So like I told you, I get fed how I get fed. So Hell's Kitchen, right? Hell's
Oh
Kitchen.
my gosh.
Um, Gordon Ramsay. Okay, if y'all
Mm.
know him, chef, look him up.
Anyway, moving on.
So in one of the recent episodes, one of the girls was laughing. So he's like, "What you laughing about?" So I get her because she ain't laughing because he came out. She trying to smile through nervousness and trying to get the crap right, and then want to take offense to it. She ain't laughing. She trying to get through this mess, right in here,
Yeah, trying to
trying
push through it.
and
Yeah.
people just and she just giggled, and he's like you giggling, how he is. So it's like wow, so you just trying to prove something, that's another way, but and people, you just can't be natural. This is like wow. But so yes, getting over those different things, the another one, another one that and perfectionism is in here. So I'm gonna go these hand in hand. Is another thing that help that, and I think it's a protective measure or something that a lot of this come from child is people pleasing. And I'm pretty sure I think I spoke about that one already on my IG channel, but is seeking harmony and approval, you know, you know, and this at the cost of your own self-expression. I know this unfortunate mass way too well. It's not that anymore. It's and as you transition and shift, you'll notice a behavior around it. And it's like where am and here's the real key. And of course, doing all the work we've done with the Ayanla Van Zant is how am I saying yes when I want to say no, when my soul says no? That's part of a behavior and not an authentic expression of yourself. Saying yes when you really want to say no, you know, and other behaviors around, trying to feel comfortable in a space when you don't, and trying to be okay with other people. So it's trying to please other people when you're like, no, hell to the no. Or and this might come in, it's not feeling less than in anybody just to make them feel comfortable around you. So that is a inauthentic way of walking in your space.
So the
And
barrier is people pleasing. Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right. That's a good
which
one.
is part of a perfectionism
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with
And
you. I see why that's a barrier. That would be a huge barrier for sure. Because you're no longer like living a life that you choose. You're living the life how people tell you how you should be living it. Hmm.
hmm hmm
What's another barrier? How many more barriers do you have?
I have there's perfectionism and control, which is believing you must get
Ooh.
everything right before showing
Ooh, that's a big one.
before showing up fully. It's like, you have that yourself. How is striving for perfection blocking my authenticity? Hell, it blocks it all the time. With all these different behaviors and masks and it's time. But right now, I'm not doing the social media this week. And sharing, but recording different, but is it's like one of those things where perfect is like overworking. We do too much. We do too much. Trying to get things perfect or right or whatever. That's why I try not to do right or wrong, what's correct or incorrect, or what feels not so good and what feels good versus the right and wrong. Because I know in going through first training, it came up about forgiving coach about forgiving, you know, which probably came to us somewhere. I don't remember anybody saying, but for telling me that I'm wrong. And I'm like, well, that might be wrong to you, but it ain't wrong to me, especially when it comes to my knowledge and how I see things. Especially when it comes to book work and learning and this and that, and I can go back, to something, and these kind of come with you, especially when it comes to reading comprehension, things of that nature. That what I thought, I had done or had been tasked to do a reading, and all of us did in this one class, and I think it was my sixth grade or whatever, and I thought what was like, this idea, and this is where you end up developing these different shields and masks to try to protect, things with you about, what was the main idea of a paragraph for me. Not for me, it was this. Now, for somebody else, it may have been that. It did not make it wrong in that nature when you look at it. So, and then after you go for these different things, you start to feel this kind of way about you, and then things start to develop as protective measures, and not only that, and then some of it is not so good because you think that something's wrong with you when it really ain't nothing wrong with you, you know? And
Hmm.
perfectionism is that thing hiding what you think is not good about you, trying to become that you already are. And you don't have to do it by anybody else's standards.
Right.
So, I got to do it this way before I can do that. And then sometimes in these barriers, you end up not even doing anything. It becomes I don't think stagnation came, but you end up not doing what it is because you are so caught up in trying to get it right that some things don't even get done in some instances. And
Right.
then the other instance that ties in, but overwork wasn't on this one because the perfectionism was a trait, but the
That is
barrier is the
overwork. I would say
perfectionism
that's a
and the
good one.
control.
I think
Huh?
overwork is a barrier. Because
Well,
when
it
you think,
is.
I mean, maybe not specific like overwork, but like it takes a lot of effort and work in being who you are not.
Hmm. True that. That,
You know,
yeah,
the
key.
perfection, like the perfection that you were talking about, like it takes so much energy trying to make it right because perfection doesn't exist. So it's always going to be hard because you're going against the natural truth and reality of the human experience. There's no such thing as
Yeah.
perfection. It's an illusion.
Girl.
I know. I feel like that might need to be
Perfect, trying to
a
be. I mean, they
conversation on
say
some level.
practice makes perfect. I just think practice, you just become better than you were the day before. And we practice, and it actually worked. I know.
I
We
remember my band teacher used to say
sports.
practice is not about perfection, it's about consistency.
That's a good
Practice
one.
it
Yeah, that comes
because
up.
when
Yeah.
you're consistent, you understand how things work and how to kind of you tune your ear to things.
Well, I think we have to
I
shift it.
think of
The
like
more that you
practicing my
practice,
instrument. That's what he would say it in that way. So I always think of practice in that context. You're tuning the instrument of yourself,
yeah,
tuning
you just get
in.
better than the day before, and practicing the way we did, and how I
Sometimes you
know.
don't.
Well,
Sometimes you don't get better. I think we also have to let go of trying to
it depends on
like
the training.
I guess it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah. So for sports is different because I need to
I
get
guess it
better.
depends on what you're doing.
Badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you're doing it and what you're like why you're doing it. I'll say
The
that.
girls that I had that we played some serious softball with, we got dope. I mean, we got beat, but we were hard to be beaten. I mean,
See,
we
you
ran into
all
people.
wanted to win, I'm sure, versus like me, I'd be on it for fun. Like, I don't care
Oh,
about
we
winning.
had
You're just doing
fun.
it for fun.
The
Yes,
thing of it is when we
it's
won, our coaches
different.
treated us
It's
well.
very different. You guys are focused on not fun first, you're focused on winning. Versus when you're focused on fun, you may win in the process. If you don't win, it's like, okay, well, that was still fun. If you're focused on
Okay.
winning, you get pissed off that you didn't win. You get annoyed
Well,
that
I
you
did.
didn't
I
win.
got better at it. Well,
Come
that's
on
because we worked
now.
our butts off. We worked our butts off. No, no, yeah, we were salty. Actually, we were salty.
Be real,
We were
okay?
salty. We
Don't
were
don't
salty.
embrace
I
the
just said
barrier
we
to
were salty.
authenticity. Okay, okay.
We were salty.
There's nothing
I
wrong
can get.
with it,
I
right?
was really salty about one tournament. I was really salty. If one of my peeps was watching now, it was the Painesville. I would talk. Oh my God, I don't even want to go to Painesville, Ohio.
Okay.
It was painful. But anyway, with that being said,
Was that all your barriers?
it says something about, the ego tries to protect us from pain. It also hides us, hides our behind, certain armors. I like look at armor in a different way,
Okay.
but comparison and self-doubt is a barrier.
Mm.
And of
I'll
course, I think the ego is a barrier. That's not what it says. The ego. I just put ego. It says and, but it's ego. Ego is a serious barrier.
yes,
And
very
so
true.
that'd be my whole other different. I think I spoke about ego. Yeah, that's a in depth where it's there to keep us hugely safe, but sometimes so safe that we don't get to stand in our true beingness. You know,
That's because we let it
it's
take
also
over.
been shaped over the years.
Through conditioning. Oh, she has paused. The ego has taken her out of the conversation. She'll come back and she'll probably be very annoyed by what's going on. Um, but let's pause and figure out what's going on here. Okay.
Um,
We're back.
so
The ego took us out of
yeah, it did.
this
It does
conversation.
not like to be talked about, and the energy that's going on in the atmosphere while in the shifts are having, glitches. They're happening. So if y'all are noticing, know that something is going on in your transfer. You need to start recognizing that energy when you want to talk about your
Also,
authenticity.
this is why I don't do calls during this time of day because the energy gets weird. I've noticed that when I have calls where the sun is setting,
Mm.
it messes with my technology.
No, we're actually messing with the technology, so let's just keep that.
The energy
The
is messing
energy,
with
the
it. That's
energy,
why I said the energy is
energy,
messing with it.
the energy in the space, the energy that we're projecting in
Mm,
this
I
conversation.
think it's a
Well,
bit. I think it's all of it. It's
yeah,
a
okay.
combination. It's a combination, is what I'm saying. There's a
Oh, it's
lot going on right
it's
now.
full circle. It's full
That's for
circle.
damn sure. All right.
So to get ready to end up, my seven, I like seven, is comparison and self-doubt. Measuring your worth against others keeps you from being diminishes your own brilliance, that and what would it feel like to honor our own unique rhythm instead? So comparison and self-doubt, as you know, um, our teacher says that comparison with others is an act of violence against your true self, Iyanla Van Zandt. And so, sometimes I would have to say from some I know that sometimes I'm unconsciously don't know that you're comparing yourself to others, which is definitely an act of violence against,
Mm.
we're talking about authenticity, right? Against your authentic self and self-doubt. Comparison and self-doubt.
Mm.
Oh,
I agree with those barriers. The last one that I had was disconnection from the body. And I'm just going to say it quickly and then we're going to move into the next part because we have come to the end already. Um, and how this shows up as a barrier is this disconnection from your body, from your emotion, because I always say your body is your compass. Your body is always
right.
constantly communicating and expressing. And when we're disconnected from our bodies, we don't hear our body telling us we can't discern how to move through our life,
Mm.
through the journey in a way that aligns with our soul and our highest authentic expression and connection. So that's the one that I had, disconnection from your body as a barrier because
Yes.
when you ignore it, you drift away from your natural alignment. So that's a barrier to authentic expression. So the next part of the conversation here, we talked about the
What is returning to
barriers,
yourself?
is the returning to
Returning to your authentic
yourself
self.
and then how to stay there. We can go through these as quickly as we can here. What do you have for the return? I have a six
Well,
part way of doing that I can go over.
Well, I have a 7 part to go over, but it's I can list them. I mean, the biggest, it brings back to pause and acknowledge the mask. Who have you been trying, to be and feel, accepted or safe? The awareness isn't about guilt about it, it's about recognition. So, we have to honor some of the several things that we have shipped. And of course, I mentioned masks because I've warned them. I mean, they were created based upon what and how I had to walk in the world from a young girl. It just is what it is. So you have to honor those things. And yes, you can still be successful in them, but it's a lot. It's a lot on you. It's a lot on you. So you don't need to actually experience those if you don't have to, depending on, how long you've been in body. That's kind of how I come. Did you want me to list them all?
Yeah, just list them all. Yeah.
Okay. Create stillness and listen within. Well, you come back to yourself. Heal the wounds that taught you to hide. Ooh, that's deep. Release the need for approval.
Hmm.
Um, and reconnect with what lights you up.
Say that again.
In, yep, 6 is in. This isn't a thought, it's in action. And allow evolution and your evolution. So allow your evolution to be. So that's number 7.
What was the one before that?
In, 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 in. This is a thought, it's an action. And don't ask me, but yeah, I get it. So don't worry about that one. I could relate on that one, but yeah.
Okay, she said move on from that one. So I think it's really cool because I have the return kind of similar as yours. So mine, the process to returning yourself, I have pause and notice, like observe where you're performing or pleasing, because awareness is start with awareness. Always start with awareness. Then listen to your
Mm-hmm.
body. Your body
Mm-hmm.
is truth telling in real time. It's that compass. So listen to your body. Do you have tension, tightness? Do you have ease? Do you have warmth? These are, again, those signals of truth, those signals of expression. And
Mm-hmm.
also, if there's like where you are aligning, think of it as that, right? Because there's no good or bad. It just is what it is. Checking in where
Right.
you are, listen. What are you tuning to? Listen to your body. Number 3, honor all parts. Stop fighting your contradictions. You're allowed to be evolving. I think this is one that sometimes people kind of they come this part and then they're like, nope, and they go back. But honor all parts. And,
I'm going, yeah,
because
yeah,
wholeness, it comes from integrating and not editing because there's nothing wrong with you. It goes back to that. Like we keep saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with you're not broken. So
right.
honor all parts. Number 4, speak honestly, even in small ways, to yourself, in your journal, or with people that you trust. And through speaking truth, truth strengthens with practice. So this is definitely a practice, speaking honestly, and it grows stronger with use. And then we have number 5, protect your energy, boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Remember, boundaries are not walls, they are doors. So you get to control who access the entry into yourself, your space. And number 6 is act in alignment. I think this is a huge one. Act in alignment. Let your choices match your truth, not your fear. This is about integrity. Discernment helps with this. And act in alignment from choosing choices that match your truth and not your fear. And that's
Yeah.
what embodiment looks like. It's like, I know the truth of who I am in spite of the fear that I have. So those are some ways, like the process of returning to yourself.
Let me go back to number two, stillness and listening within. So the thing you want to do is you cannot hear your authentic self in the noise, in the world and things of that nature. So you want to take the time to have quiet moments, to do meditation, to do breath work. They're talking about breath work now and tapping, I think, coming back up, and we can share more on that, down the line on many different avenues.
Ooh,
Journaling,
we should
I
do a
talked
session
about,
on here. We should take people through a tapping session.
yeah, and solitude become, the portals to remembrance. So, your truth speaks softly. To hear it, you must be willing to, to listen deeper than the world shouts out to you. So you need to take that time in quiet and journaling or coloring or cartooning, however that may work for you. To heal the wounds that you were taught to hide, and sometimes we don't even know that we hide, but some of us do, is, authenticity requires, safety. Said me people reject their true self because of the pain or rejection. So healing is not to erase the wound, but it teaches you that your soul is stronger than what hurt you. So you want to work with compassion and have the therapy, do the energy healing, do practices outside. This is almost goes back to Eastern medicine, practices that helps your essence, help you free your essence from that fear's grip. The need to approval, that's another huge one that I know, which is definitely a trait. Perfectionism, which is every time you choose, validation over your truth, you betray your spirit. You betray your
Hmm.
spirit little by little.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live authentically and please everyone. You know, one
Nope.
will always cost the other. You don't want to do that to you. So authenticity asks for radical truth. Let approval come from the byproduct, and you meant talking about alignment and not a condition for it. So you want to get in that. And then, number five, reconnect to what lights you up. Speak to yourself through joy, creativity, peace, and renaissance. Follow you got into your body. Follow what feels in your body. You know, and then authenticity, I thought it's an action. It's just about being every time you speak truth to yourself, honor the boundary, follow the intuition. You strengthen your alignment in that matter. It's a daily devotion to live authentic to yourself, not through perfections. And I think we mentioned earlier about presence, through just being. How we talking about being instead of doing? And allow the evolution. You're not returning to a single version, you're returning to your soul's rhythm again and again and again. That's how you allow the evolution. And just remember who you were before the world told you who to be. I said that before. Tell yourself you're safe, you're seen, and I'm home in my truth. That. And it all ties up. Everything you said and your take comes and connects all with the body. You know, just remember who you are before the world told you. We were speaking about that earlier on some of those aspects of the barriers of who the hell you need to be and how you need to walk. Literally and figuratively so.
They literally had I think it's episode 16 is because
Mhm.
it's a rerun that's coming up that we posted on our Instagram page that we answered that question. Who are you
Mhm.
before the world told you who to be?
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
link that down below because it really does dive into like the conditioning piece that we talked about as one of the barriers for sure. If you want to kind of like if you recognize the conditioning is a barrier, that's a really good resource to kind of like listen to and like really sit with what that is and how it looks and shows up for you specifically. Because the whole point of these conversations is not to like feed you to where you feel like informationally constipated. It's really to digest these in a way that feeds your system, that
Yeah.
fuels your life in some way. Um, Did you have Do you have anything else you wanted to
Yeah.
add? I have like the ways to stay there, but I don't
Yeah,
really.
my ways to stay there. I have a couple of action steps for you. I'll share a couple. And these are, kind of reflection things for you to think about as you go forward to connect with your inner and true and authentic self. It's just like what, I mentioned it before. Let me see if this is the question I want. How would you feel most like yourself in what environments that would support you? One of my bigger one is what part of you have you been hiding to be accepted? So those are some things you want to look at, and once you can recognize them things and notice them, become aware, then you can address it. Um, Another thing is I would like you to speak one truth today that you've been silencing about yourself. Speak one truth. I also want you to remove one mask, habit, or phrase, or image that no longer represents who you are. And the other thing I would like for you to do is either to choose or write an affirmation about my truth is sacred, da 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 da, and the fact that how you are safe to be seen. Those.
Hmm. So with that, the reminder here is that authenticity is a practice, and you so how you stay there, how do you stay practice, how do you stay rooted in authenticity? Again, just kind of highlighting and reviewing what has already been said, but in a new way, because repetition.
Change choice to
What's such as
if you
this?
finish this, just let
Oh
me
my
know when
God,
you're
I'm still recording.
Well,
Oh my gosh. Welcome to real time. So to wrap this up, so
yes.
authenticity is about a practice. It's a practice. So check in with yourself. And I think the most valid thing you can ask yourself every day is, am I being me? Or are you managing how others see you? So am I being me, or am I managing how others see me? Just checking in with yourself every day. Moving your body, express your truth, create. That's how authenticity breathes. You need to be moving your body so you can connect to your body, grounding yourself, touch the earth, breathe, feel. And this is a big one. Surround yourself with people who don't need you to mask to love you. They recognize your authentic, they take you as you are. They don't need you to wear a mask. If anything, they encourage you to take the mask off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if they see you with the mask, they're still like, I love you no matter how you show up. Surround yourself with those people. Be around people who don't need your mask to love you. So with that, we're going to close out because the energy is shifting, and this is going to be interesting to kind of watch back.
Yeah,
Uh,
my apologies for Alexa.
hey, she's doing what she was told to do.
She was.
So again, authenticity. I feel like being authentic, being your real self is like the biggest flex, because it's how you become untouchably you, right? And you are like aligned with the natural flow of your own life. And when you are aligned in that way, the more life rearranges to meet you there. And I wrote this down and I'm trying to find where it is, but when you are in alignment with your authentic self, things come to you because you're aligned. There's a way that you're able to flow that's
Exactly.
much more in ease. Life is still gonna life, yes, but if
Right.
you're aligned with yourself and you know who you are unapologetically, you're just like, all right, let's keep doing me. Um, so that's what I got when it comes to authenticity. Have anything you want to add before we say goodbye to the beautiful people, the beautiful souls?
I'm good.
All right, thank you guys for watching so much. That I'm not entirely sure that was a complete and I don't know if that made sense. Let's retry that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching this video. If you made it this far, this is a message you need to be quiet, Nicole, and be your authentic expression, which is to be quiet during this time of day. So I'm going to go honor my authentic self. Thanks for watching. We hope you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please do. It's free to do so. We're trying to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we're also coming up on our 1 year anniversary, and we have something
Yes.
special in the works. So stay tuned for that announcement. Thanks for being in conversation with me, Warriors Artist Share RN. I deeply appreciate you and being your authentic
Wow,
expression
Walker.
during this session. Thanks for rocking with my very interesting signal as well.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks for watching. I know it pissed her off. Bye.
Peace.